प्रेजेंटेड बाय ईबिक्स कैश। हर खुशी के लिए काफी है।
An exclusive conversation for you today with Nivruti Rai. She's the country head at Intel India, one of the most powerful women in business and someone that we've been eager to chat with on India's digital mission, all the latest at Intel, the semiconductor, the chip shortage that's wreaking havoc when it comes to certain industries here in India and lots more. Nivruti, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Abha, and looking forward to talking to you.
So let's dive in, Nivruti. Intel's vision for Digital India mission. Talk to us about that, the kind of role that Intel is planning to play in order to achieve this goal.
Sure. Wonderful question to start with, because that gives me an opportunity to start with Intel's vision statement. So Intel's vision statement says, creating and enabling world-changing technologies that improves the life of every single person on this earth. Three things stand out. One is, building and enabling technology. Second thing stands out, creating value for every single person on earth. Creating value means something valuable should come out socially as well. And touching the lives of every single person on earth means scale. So what we are equipping ourselves is with technology that, we call it like the 4 to 5 superpowers. One of them is cloud, then is network, third is access, and fourth is devices. And devices could be anything from laptop, desktop, all the way to cars. So we are working on this stream that starts from cloud, connects to the network, go to the edge, and then the devices. So we are working on all these technologies. So essentially a solution that will be enabled for multiple verticals or segments, as we call it. So whether it is health, whether it is smart mobility, whether it is education, whether it is looking at online retail. So we will be looking at any segment that needs this support, which goes from device to cloud, and building technologies like artificial intelligence, building technologies like blockchain for security, building technologies like 5G, not only limiting to 5G, but connectivity that enables our villages also. Now, why is this important? You can think of it as a framework. Right. This framework can be applied in multiple verticals, like I said, from health to e-retail platform. Now, what we've seen, Abha, is over the last 2 years, the pandemic has only accelerated the technology adoption. Most all of us at Intel India were working virtually, from our homes, enabling the technologies and leveraging the technologies. So I can tell you, the analysis says the speed at which the world has adopted digital technology is something that we would have otherwise adopted in 3 years. The amount of digital transactions, and by the way, India is leading in those digital transactions, enabled by many platforms, national level that we built. So now, when this world is running towards technology adoption to enable life and quality of life, we have a big role to play, because whether it is education, whether it is reducing the accidents on the road, or it is enabling online shopping, and many other verticals like this, Intel is playing a big role. And Intel India specifically, I can call out that we are doing a lot of things in this framework, enabling researchers, enabling students, enabling governments, as well as enabling industries, to leverage this framework or portfolio bouquet of technologies to enable their verticals or their segments they are in.
So give me an example, Nivruti, on where and how this is having an impact, whether it be a small example or a big one, because I know that this is all about, as you said, laying a framework and for long-term development. So I understand that context that you're working towards. But share with us, for our viewers, to really understand how this will make a larger impact going forward.
Sure. So the first thing is, the base of driving any technology is driving the skilling and understanding. On top of that, okay, now we have understood technologies I have understood the framework, Intel, that you're bringing in.
Yeah.
What are some of the trainings that we have to do to enable? So skilling and training kind of go together.
Okay.
Then, okay, now we understand, let's do some research. Let's make some research that makes this framework or technology relevant for India. I don't want to copy exact something in United States or Europe, because our needs are different. So, we are enabling research. Not only research, then we are enabling adoption. That means you are participating in adoption of technology. And for the adoption of the technology, is there any policy, regulatory requirement? So we are in all these different segments. Now, let me just tell you, in terms of skilling and training, we have participated with government organizations, schools, for example, like CBSE, and we have created an AI program which has trained 200,000 kids between 8th through 12th all across India, almost all states that you can think of. So, and continuing to do more. In terms of training government resources, government officials, we have trained 5,000 people.
Okay.
Now we are looking at a AI for citizen program that we can enable 1 million Indian citizens on multiple languages. I'm forgetting the number of languages that we have this programming. It's a 4-hour self-learning app, gaming app like program that intends to train 1 million citizens in 1 year. The intention or agenda behind this is to make sure people understand that this technology is not a black box.
Okay.
This technology needs many different skills. And here are the use cases, from governance to surgery to online platform. All of it can be enabled such that people can now start thinking, what can we do? Now, once we've trained that and enabled people to think, we are also working with a startup incubator with IIT Sine Mumbai, as well as Department of Science and Technology, and incubated 80 plus startups over the so many years.
Okay.
And I'm happy to tell you that my measurement of success is not just the number of startups, because we all know that in 5 years 90% of the startups die. My measurement of success is, can we hold their hands, help them to go to market and be revenue generating? So I'll tell you, 35 of them are revenue generating and are in cutting edge technologies like AI, AR, VR, blockchain, even quantum, to name a few. So now we have enabled startups. We are also driving research ourselves. So we, along with Triple IT Hyderabad and PHFI, the Health Foundation in Telangana, and few others have participated, and we built a research organization called ENAI, and driving a lot of AI research. Now, this AI research is focusing on education, health, and smart mobility. I'll give you the example of smart mobility. Over the last 3 years, we've been collecting a lot of data from pilots that were run in 4 states: Uttar Pradesh, Telangana, Karnataka, and Kerala. And the intent was, how can we reduce collisions that are happening on Indian roads? And we all know that, advanced driver assist system or autonomous driving is not something that's relevant for India, but collision avoidance system definitely is. It's a AI-based technology which has the ability to see around, your vehicle with cameras, etc., and sensors, and even LiDARs in some cases. And we've collected several hundred terabytes of data that's sitting in Triple IT Hyderabad and build algorithms for Indian use cases. And I'm happy to tell you that on those 4 states, we've seen 50 to 75% accidents reduction, thereby leading to reducing the deaths that happen. And we all know that 17 deaths happen in an hour, unfortunately, in India, with only 1% of world's vehicles, but 11% accidents. So clearly, something that is very devastating for us, for our people, and also eventually for our economy.
So tell me, these are some wonderful initiatives, that you've outlined. What are the challenges, though, in building a digital-ready future? I mean, what you've described as well takes a lot in terms of stakeholders within the ecosystem coming together and making this happen. And even when it comes to skilling, it's a process, it's a journey. While we're attempting, of course, to bridge those gaps through technology, but share with us what are some of the key challenges when it comes to the Indian market in particular, and trying to really scale up the pace of adoption of some of these.
The reason I'm smiling is I learned something. Trying to do something for the country is patience and persistence. If I were to look at, creating this kind of work within the boundaries of Intel, I would have done it in about a year's time. And 3 years, and I'm still going. The reason is, our country is very democratic, and as a result of very many decision makers. So what we have to do is at all levels find out who really our partners are and the decision makers are, and get their support and buy-in to enable a technology. So I'll tell you this smart mobility technology that I just spoke about. We are now doing a full-blown deployment in Nagpur. And I realized that I have many support required. So I got Mahindra & Mahindra to partner with us. I got IIIT Hyderabad to partner because, we are very careful, conscious about, data that India generates. It should be within data and it should not be used for, consumption for benefit of anybody. So keeping all of those requirements in mind, we created a partnership. And not only that, we chose Nagpur because, Nitin Gadkari has been a big supporter and, enabler for us to drive this technology. It was a very difficult activity for me to drive these 4 POCs in 4 different states. And it took me 3 years. But I'm hoping that this Nagpur deployment takes, much less, because now I've learned over the 3-4 years who the partners are. I've got to partner with government, I've got to partner with academia and my industry partners to enable. And it is slow, but definitely made significant progress. The last thing I want to say, the challenge, while we all say, and I myself say, I'm equally guilty, that India is 1.3 billion people. Each person is a data factory. We are generating, several, mega gigabytes of data, and but that data is not in a consumable form. There's a lot of noise in this data. So while we are a very data-rich country, there's a lot of noise in this data, and the data is very distributed all over the place. But we were successful with building a lot of, digitally revolutionizing technologies based on Aadhaar. Based on Aadhaar, we build this unified payment interface and many other platforms. I do believe that we will be able to leverage this data, which is distributed, which is very noisy, which needs a lot of policy support. We will be able to do it. It's going to take a little bit more time.
Okay. There's been an explosion of demand, Nivruti, for silicon across sectors, across applications. Any opportunities which we see there, particularly for Intel in India?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to start with, in March, our CEO announced that Intel will be going through what is called IDM 2.0, Integrated Device Manufacturer. There are very few IDMs. IDMs necessarily very simply means we have our own fab or foundry and we do our own design. There was a time there were very many IDMs. Now very few IDMs are left, I can name a few, but Intel is one. And what the CEO announced that we will go through what is called IDM 2.0, which means we will not only be fabricating chips for ourselves, we will be opening up our fabs to build chips for fabless design houses around the world. So that's what IDM 2.0 means. And that's what Intel Foundry Services business will drive. which will be enabling building chips for fabless design houses. Now, what is the opportunity for India? Firstly, we have few fabulous design houses. I'm really hoping to build out of India, some large companies, which are fabulous design houses, which build and design products for the world, because that is what is required. We have proven ourselves to be a software smart country. But I'm happy that many of the startups that we are incubating are looking at hardware and systems. And to enable these kind of hardware and systems startups as well as industries which are looking at designing, Intel Foundry Services will be open. And I'm confident that it will be a mutually beneficial partnership between Intel and India. Why? And I'll tell you. IFS or Intel IFS can become a trusted partner for India, building its chips with complete privacy, security, as well as customization. Now, what can India do for IFS? I honestly believe that a semiconductor ecosystem needs to be well understood. It has many players in it. If you think of design houses, oh yeah, we are great. We are actually designing the most complex chips out of India. But we are amazing in design ecosystem, but we have very few fabulous design companies who actually have a product that they are building. We have very few EDA companies that are building tools or IPs. So opportunity is, let's come together, define this ecosystem, build these contributors, even raw materials. Like India does amazing raw materials for pharmacies, for agriculture. Can we do the raw materials that go into the fabs? The requirement will be, the precision has to be 100x higher, but we can do it. And I'm thinking I'm going to climb stairs slowly and help build this ecosystem with the goal of driving much more for foundry and for enabling the semiconductor shortages out of India.
That's just what I was going to ask you about next. The big shortage of semiconductor chips that we've been seeing, and it's really been holding captive the auto industry, for instance, and having other implications across the board. Share with us, really what's happening there for our audience. What's the current status as well of semiconductor manufacturing in India? When do you see the shortage ending?
Okay, so wonderful question. Semiconductor shortage is a story that everybody is talking about. The Quad, recently our Prime Minister's trip to US talked about it. It is a big shortage. And the shortage only got accelerated because of this pandemic, because everywhere there was a need. Wherever you're driving digitization, wherever you're driving compute, wherever you're driving transmission or storage, you need semiconductors. So everybody's need, quadrupled. Not only need got quadrupled, people started procuring these chips and saving it. And it created this, shortages around the world to an extent that auto companies were looking at shutting down because the cars wouldn't be able to sell. And, I myself experienced, I was in US, and this one car that I typically rented for a month for $500 was being charged $5,000. So I got a shock. So these guys said, no, because of the semiconductor shortage during the COVID, we sold off our cars. Now we cannot buy them back. So shortage is real. Now, how can we contribute? The semiconductor ecosystem is not very geographically spread. Japan is amazing in substrate. There are countries in Taiwan, China, and South Korea, which are driving a lot of foundry. There is some countries which are dominating in assembly test manufacturing, some in equipment, some in raw materials. So I feel the strategy that the world is driving is, firstly, make this ecosystem a little more diverse. And if the ecosystem is going to be diverse, India has a huge role to play. The biggest thing that we could do is participate in many of these ecosystem needs, for example, raw materials, IP provide. I'm very happy to see that there was a time, India, all software, unicorns. Now I'm seeing product and IP unicorns. I'm very happy about one IP company that was doing SerDes, high-speed serial IOs. So we need more such IOs. We need more such EDA vendors. And importantly, can we build a capability that we can enable assembly test manufacturing? So India has a role to play. This shortage is real. I don't think it's going to, be more than 5 years. I think 5 years you'll start seeing things that people are investing in now, will be fully functioning and contributing, developing. Intel itself is spending several $billions to increase the fab capacities. Easier to expand than to start fresh. And that's the strategy Intel has taken to expand the fab that's already existing in Arizona. And, we will continue to look at how can we create a mutually beneficial partnership between Intel and India. And I'm in a good position to do so because not only do I have the country leadership role, I'm also I have a significant role that I'm driving out of India for Intel's foundry services. And as a result, it's, within my duty for Intel to look at what can we do best out of India for IFS and for Intel.
So that's just my final question, Nivruti. You've outlined for us, strategy, vision for Intel here in India. In terms of, numbers or in terms of outlook, potential, give us some kind of indication, as to how you were perhaps hit during the pandemic vis-a-vis how growth is back on track and really what the future potential is looking like. Any indication of the kind of growth that you anticipate on the back of some of the strategies you've outlined?
Sure. So, Amma, I actually didn't suffer in the pandemic. In fact, we continued business as usual. In fact, we grew during the pandemic also and continuing to grow. With the new charter that I have to help enable Intel's foundry aspirations, I'm growing. I'm growing on a daily basis. But the difference that the pandemic has done is when we come back full force to work out of campus, we will have a hybrid model. So therein, if I have a hybrid model, I have 30% immediate increase in capacity to seat my people. Okay. So I'm looking at hybrid model as an opportunity. I have almost grown during the pandemic. The impact of pandemic, otherwise from humanitarian perspective was very bad on us. From business perspective, we were growing because our client business, which means the laptop, desktop, grew significantly to the tune of 20+%, which means we had to continue to grow to build those user equipment that I talked about in the framework from cloud to user equipment. And I'm continuing to grow because Foundry is a new charter that we have out of India, and we'll continue to build the R&D. I'm growing from strength to strength to strength. Okay. Whether it is in the network space, we are trying to drive a lot of 5G enablement for Airtel and Reliance. Both the companies are working beautifully in tandem with us to enable virtualization for RAN or open RAN, flex RAN kind of solutions. Okay. We are working with them. With Reliance, we are working on AI technologies. We are working on cloud technology. So it's an amazing opportunity. All this digitization will require more cloud, more network, more edge, and more devices. And we have, a lot to win as a country, India, and Intel to enable the growth.
Fabulous. Nivruti, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us here on Business Today.
Thank you so much, Abha. Lovely talking to you, and really hoping and praying the world comes out of this pandemic and we can see each other face to face.
Absolutely.